Have you ever finished playing a video game, or maybe you closed your phone after scrolling or clicked away from pornography another time and wondered to yourself, why is this so hard to stop? Not because you wanted to keep going, and definitely not because you lacked willpower, because your brain had learned something important. It learned to expect one more reward. But what if gaming and pornography aren't separate problems at all? What if they're training the exact same reward system in your brain? This video is brought to you by my HarperCollins published book, Mind Over Explicit Matter. If you're ready to quit porn and reclaim your life mentally and physically, go over to drtrishleigh.com/book. Something fascinating is happening right now. Families are filing lawsuits against major video game companies, including Epic Games, Activision Blizzard, Microsoft, and Roblox, arguing that games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, and indeed Roblox were intentionally designed to become psychologically addictive. So let me be clear. This is not an attack on video games. Millions of people, including my entire family and my husband, play video games recreationally without developing a problem. The real question that these lawsuits raise, it's much bigger. It's this: at what point does engagement become engineering? At what point does keeping someone entertained actually become designing products that learn how to keep them coming back? As a cognitive neuroscientist, that's what catches my attention. When people debate whether video games are addictive or not, I don't immediately think about gaming. You know what I think about: the brain. Every major digital platform is solving for the exact same problem right now. How do we keep people coming back? Video games reward progress. Social media never lets the feed end. Streaming platforms remove the decision to stop with autoplay. Casinos use unpredictable rewards, and pornography combines nearly every single one of these features into one experience: unlimited novelty, instant access, complete privacy, and almost no effort between urge and reward. Different products, one reward system. The companies may be competing with each other, but they're all competing for the exact same thing: your brain's reward system. That's why this conversation about the lawsuits matters far beyond gaming. They're exposing the reality that we now live in an attention economy. Some of the world's largest companies succeed by understanding the human reward system better than the average person understands their own brain. The longer they keep you engaged, the more valuable your attention becomes. That's not a conspiracy. It's simply how digital business models work. But the problem is that your brain hasn't changed nearly as fast as technology has. Your reward system evolved over hundreds of thousands of years in a world where rewards required effort, patience, uncertainty, and real-life connection. Today's digital world delivers stimulation almost instantly. Every swipe, every level, every notification, every explicit image teaches your brain to expect another reward just seconds away from the last one. That's how a healthy dopamine system becomes hijacked, and eventually it becomes miswired. And this also explains why people rarely struggle with only one digital habit. Someone who compulsively watches pornography may also spend hours gaming, endlessly scrolling, or bouncing between YouTube and social media. Not because these are different problems, but because the same reward system has learned to crave rapid stimulation. That's why pornography is not an isolated issue. In fact, it's one example of a much larger cultural shift. But yes, indeed, it is at the top of the attention food chain. We've created an environment where almost every form of digital entertainment removes friction between desire and reward. Then we wonder why most people struggle with compulsive behaviors, especially around their screens. It's not because people today are weaker, it's because the environment has fundamentally changed. Pornography isn't uniquely powerful simply because it's sexual. It's uniquely powerful because almost nothing stands between the impulse and the very high-level stimulation and instant gratification. But if that sounds like bad news, I must give you the good news. Your brain is absolutely capable of learning healthier patterns. That is neuroplasticity. Your brain is always learning, always changing. But the question is whether you're intentionally directing that change or you're allowing your technology to do it for you. That's exactly why I created what I call the Instant Rewire. The Instant Rewire is the moment you consciously interrupt an algorithm-driven reward and you choose a real-life reward instead. You put your phone down and you go for a walk. You lift weights. You have a real conversation with a real human. You create something instead of consuming it. Every one of those choices strengthens a different, healthier neural pathway. One instant rewire, it's not going to change your brain overnight, but thousands of them added up absolutely will. That's how a hijacked brain that's become miswired, in fact, becomes rewired. So if you've been struggling with pornography or gaming or compulsive scrolling, or simply it doesn't feel like your attention is your own anymore, please understand this. You don't have multiple problems. You have one reward system that has been adapting to the modern digital environment. And the good news is it can adapt again. That's exactly why I use high-level technology to do the rewiring for you. QEEG brain mapping together with Neuromod tech, we can actually see how your reward system and your attention networks are performing. This way you can stop blaming yourself and stop guessing. You can finally have a true roadmap for recovery instead of relying on guessing or willpower alone. So if you're ready to understand what your brain has been learning and to see it with your own eyes, please go over to drtrishleigh.com. There your brain can learn something better in one of my Desire Rewire programs, because your attention, in fact, is your greatest asset in today's day and age. So protect it intentionally, because whatever holds your attention, it shapes your brain, and what shapes your brain, that shapes your life. So please remember to control your brain, or in fact, it will control you. I'll see you next time.